Come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is actually episode 3 of the season 1 of Feud, Bette and Joan. This episode was really interesting because this one was, they actually called the episode Mommy Dears. And we actually got to see literally parenting situations on both ends and find out more about the women and them raising their children, as well as they did the rap on the picture as well. Let's start with Joan. So Joan actually has a set of twins. Now this is anybody who really has watched like the movie Mommy Dears. You know, Mommy Dears focuses on Christina and Christopher Crawford, and it's actually written by Christina Crawford. So it's her account of what happened and her relationship with her mother. It does not even involve the twins. Once Christina and Christopher were actually older and out of the home, Joan actually did adopt a set of twins. So at this point of our show, these twins have become teenagers. Okay, so they're probably about 16, 15, 16 or so. And they were at the studio, and Betty's daughter, Bette had actually was introduced to them into smoking. That was the shit back in the day. And so there was a little thing where Joan had actually gone to Bette and told her, I want you to keep your daughter away from my twins. This, that, thing, and the other. And she was teaching them how to smoke, and this, that, thing, and the other. So she has said to her, she says, your daughters, you have them trained like Pomeranians. I said, oh. And she's like, how do you do that? And this was the beginning of another plot and plan. She said, you know what? Let's go out and let's have a chat and have some drinks. And Joan was like, oh, okay. So let's go back. Before that, Bobby, the producer guy, had actually come to Bette and said, why don't we use Bette to do the next door neighbor part in the movie since we fired the other girl? And she was saying, Joan will never go for that. And she's like, she's a new actress. She's not really an actress. It'll be fine. So, keep that. Before that, also, we saw Joan with the twins, and we saw how her crazy was starting to show up. Her Mommy Dearest crazy was starting to show up, and you start seeing the way she reared her children. It's an iron fist. You don't show any emotion. She's just not soft. She's as hard as nails to them in their face. But then she goes behind, real passive aggressive, and does things. At the one point, the twins are sitting there, she got them, they got these bows on their head, they look ridiculous. They said, Mommy, can we take our bows off? People are staring at us. It's like, that's not why people are staring at you, honey. She's like, they're staring at us. Then you saw where they asked her, they come to order, and they asked, can we have, she says, I'll have a steak, medium rare, and they'll have fish sticks. And they were like, Mommy, can we have a steak too? They're too fucking old for that shit. And then she said, oh, how fast they grow up. Okay, go ahead, give them steaks. Then told them they can go to the bathroom and take their bows out of their head if they wanted to. After she just, she goes to flip-flop, crazy as a motherfucker. So there was a card that Mama Sita had for Christina, because Christina was actually debuted, because Christina's an actress. And she said no. When the girls were sitting there, she said, no, my mother never showed me. I did everything I had to do. I built myself from the ground up. My mother never sent me flowers or sent me any cards. You let her do what she has to do. Maybe if her reviews are good, then I'll send the card and all of that. But as soon as the twins, left out of her presence, she told Mama Cita, give me that card. She signed the card, you know, good luck, this, that, and the other. Love, Mommy Dearest. So she tried to keep up that hard image, but then trying to do nice shit on herself. She was really crazy. If you ever seen the movie Mommy Dearest, that's the movie to see. Because Joan Crawford was crazier than Dick's Hat Man. You hear me? Crazy as hell. Had no business with children. And that actually goes to show, child, everybody that you see being a foster parent and being an adoptive parent don't have no business doing it. She had no business being turned loose with any children. Period. Her ass wasn't right. And a lot of it stemmed from she had a hard, and it was kind of crazy because she had a hard childhood. So you would think, because a parent, you want more for your children. I want better for my children. My mother was top of the fucking line. You know what I mean? As far as giving and all of that kind of stuff. And there's some things that, could have been better, but that's everybody's life. As far as our personalities, because our personalities don't always match. So we handle things a little different. That's in everybody's life. But as far as giving and being a sport rotten brat, my mother was the shit. But when it was with my kids, trust me, I went even further over the line than what my mother did. Because whatever it was that you had, you want even better for your children. If you had the best, then you want your kids to have the goddamn best. That's just the way it is. Joan Crawford, I believe, had some mental illness with her too. Bitch was crazy. She really was. She's crazy. Talented, too talented. Because when you're too talented, you're crazy. And that's a proven fact. You've all heard the saying, honey, there's a very thin line between being a genius and being a psychopath. Very thin line. Bette, same thing. But I'll get to her in a second. So they go out. Bette used Joan's words against her. She used her words against her. She went into all this little thing. They actually sat there and they talked about different things. Joan shared how her mother raised her and, well, basically didn't raise her, and how she started having sex at age 11 with her stepfather. He was the first man that had her, and she basically dated her stepfather. And her mother knew it and said he's the first man and the only man that ever loved her and made her feel love, was her stepfather. Said it wasn't incest. He wasn't my dad. He was my mother's boyfriend. I said, okay. And Bette was like, girl, you were a child, And she said, my mother was the only female friend that I've ever had. So their race was totally different. But she was saying, this, that, and the other. You're supposed to she said, you take your daughter and you teach them. She says, that's how I'm able to do what I do. She stroked her ego. How do you do what you do with your kids? She said, I teach them and I drive them and I make them work. And when they work, they feel accomplished and all that. So she just played right into her head. She's like, okay, good. She used her words to justify why she had Bette play that part in the movie. I said, oh, they were dirty. They were so dirty to each other. Okay, so at the same time, Joan went ahead and did the same thing to Bette. She had actually flipped it on her. When they were actually having their little conversation, she was saying, they were talking about awards and stuff, and she was like, I'm going to, they had a heart-to-heart when they had their drink. She said, I'm going to support everything about this film, and that means supporting you. I'm going to support you as well. It is what it is. This is going to be good for both of us. Nobody loses. It is what it is. And she's like, I don't do everything for awards. I don't care about awards. When she said that, she used that right against her, baby. Next thing you know, Joan and Hedda on that phone again, honey. Had she told Hedda that Bette stinks, that she has a body odor, but she said, but you can't print that. Don't print that, though. And she's like, well, why not? So they had that other whole little thing going on. Next thing you know, here an article comes out where it has something to do with Joan being put up as the lead actress and Bette being put up as the supporting actress. Baby, when I tell you, they had a big argument on set in front of everybody. And that's basically where she was like, are you crazy? We are both leading actresses. There's no supporting actress. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Honey, and the next thing you know, she had taken her own words. She said, you're the one that said it. You said you didn't care anything about awards and that you would be in support of me. You said that out of your own mouth. She said, no, I said I would support the picture. I didn't say that. And she said something. They went back and forth. And the last thing Bette said to her, she said that it wasn't you that got, it wasn't you that got robbed in 1950. It was Gloria Swanson that got robbed of an Oscar in 1950. You bitch! And they went trailer, slammed the trailer door. I said, oh God. It was a mess. A hot mess. Hot mess. Also in this section of the movie, we see where Bette broke things off with Bobby too, told him, you can't have no more of this coochie. And he's like, I agree. So I had laughed about that. I forgot about that. Then we start seeing when they were doing the physical scenes. There's a scene where they start being mean to each other again right after that argument. And Bette Davis had to drag Joan Crawford out of the bed and pull her, the way you would do with a person that is paraplegic. And they are all just dead weight. Very, very heavy. They were doing that, and she just was not trying to help her at all. And she knows it was making her tired, it was hurting her back, and she just kept on making them have to do a retake. She kept laughing. She said, I'm ticklish, and kept getting halfway to where she had to drag her to, and then start laughing and shit, fucking up the scene. I said, oh, they're a mess. And then you come to find out that she literally had been putting weights. She started putting weights, like 3 10-pound weights around her waist up underneath her coat to make herself even heavier. I said, oh, just mean, honey. Mean. And then there's a part where she has her on the floor and she's kicking her. Well, they have like a doll there, and she's kicking the doll. Then they actually, to get the closer shot, the real Joan is laying on the floor, and she's supposed to kick at her. Well, this one scene, baby, she kicked her right the fuck in the back of her head real hard. And he tore her ass up. Bam! I said, oh! She fucked her ass up. She was I barely touched her. I said, oh, she fucked her up, honey. She kicked the shit out of her. It was sitting there just as I said, oh, they're a mess. So, in the meantime, between time, Betty's daughter, Bette was horrible. She's not an actress, and she was horrible. Okay? And you start to see that the actor that plays the male role, who is the gay guy, he's actually gay in real life. He started to get a friendship with Bette, and he was taken to Bette, and it was more like a mother. She was like, he was really taking her, and she was saying how, the gay, she was like, not like more so like a fag, but more like a gay mother to him is what she was. And he just looked up to her, and she was saying how much she loves the gays, and the gays love her. He said, they love you, honey. You're an icon. And she said, I knew it when the queens started pretending to be me in their acts. I figured I had made it. And he's like, yeah, you'll forever be loved by the gay community because you've she embraced them and everything. So that kind of stuff it started way, way back then, honey. So, she basically took him on, and Bobby noticed, he says, you really like him? And she says, yeah, I like talent. And it was kind of shady because she would run lines with him where she wouldn't run them with Bette because there's no talent. It didn't make a difference what she did with Bette. She just wasn't going to be any better because she's not an actress. And the other one was. Then you found out, and Bette is actually not her daughter. She was adopted. She adopted her when she was a baby. You found out that Bette has another daughter who is hers, or was her actual daughter, who was autistic, that was in a home. And she would go and visit periodically, because they would put you away back then, just real tacky. But she called and she would talk to her on the phone and different things like that. But she had a daughter that was autistic, which was her real daughter. It was really sad. And they showed a phone conversation she actually had. She says, "Mommy, where are you, Mommy? Where are you?" And she's like, "Well, I've been here doing a movie and this, that, and anything, and I'm working, and I'm gonna come and see you, honey." She was autistic, but she got right up from the phone and was like, and went on about her business, honey. I said, "Girl, she ain't too slow, honey. She know you full of shit." Anyway, so in the midst of all of this going on, you also see Joan over there. The twins are gone now. Now the twins have gone off, because remember, they're 15, 16. They done gone off to some camp or whatever. So the house is quiet. There's no children in the house for once after all these years. She's going through empty nest syndrome. She takes her old ass down to the adoption agency. She's going to adopt another one, because she got back. That's what you did. Honey, they told her, "You're not adopting nothing, honey. Your ass is too old. Now see you. Girl, beat it." So they wouldn't give her enough. She was pissed off. It's like, "We're giving you another baby. Get your ass out of here, old bitch." So I laughed at her and that. Okay, so then the ending scene of the movie, we're going to get to that. Let's talk about this though before we do it. Hedda goes to see Joan, and she's just ping-ponging back and forth with this bullshit. Well, she went over to fucking with Bette out here. Bette ain't for it. Bette told her, "Baby, basically, I see through your behavior. You've been lurking around the set of this movie all these months like a vulture, honey. And you're looking for something, and you're trying to make your career, trying to make your money off of us. You're just full of shit. You're full of shit." And the thing is, Joan had actually sat and told Hedda everything that had gone on with the scene at the beach. That Bette has showed up drunk in the middle of the day. She's drunk on the set, that she was being very difficult on the set and all of this. Meanwhile, all of that was a lie. It was all of her own behavior, but she's telling Hannah that these are the things that Bette did. Bette wouldn't even play the game. Bette didn't go into it. She told her, "Baby, I see right through you, and I'm not thinking about you, and the hell with you. And don't threaten me. Fuck you." She said, "You need to print the truth, and only the truth. Don't be making up no shit." She says, "Well, that's fine. You're right. So I will print the truth. Because the truth is, I heard that your daughter stinks. I heard that your daughter is a horrible actress and that she may screw up the whole movie." Well, she told her, she said, "You better not print a damn thing about my daughter. My daughter's role in the movie is not even big enough to screw up the movie. And you get the hell on out of here, honey." Well, Bette overheard it. That was a mess. But Bette pulled it together and told her, she said, "No, no, no, baby." She pulled her together. She lied and got it together. Told her, "You was okay, baby. You didn't look into the camera lens one time. You didn't miss your lines. You said your lines. You hit all your spots. You were wonderful." No, she was fucked up. She was horrible. She was real tired in the movie, and you can see it if you watch the movie. She wasn't good. But she wasn't letting that bother her. And she told her, she said, "I'm sorry, Mommy. I wanted to be good, for you. But it just ain't in her natural genes. It's not really hers. She's adopted. Those genes are different." Anyway, so that was sad and touching. But anyway, then there was a whole scene where you actually see how much of a love she actually did have for the gay co-star. He actually got in trouble, got put in jail during a raid of one of the little gay movie houses, honey. And Bette came right on down there, baby, and bailed him out. No questions asked. She didn't shame him for it or anything like that. She just told him, "You have to be more careful, more selective, and this, that, thing, and the other," and took him on out. And that's because he had told her about like his mom and how his mom was kind of like, and she feels she stands in the gap. So that was kind of interesting to see. Even through all her meanness and all of that, Bette was really a kind-hearted person. She just wasn't kind to Joan. So it's like shit. Anyway, so there was another little thing when they were filming at the beach. They were like, "This is crazy. This is the scene where she's supposed to die. She dies on the beach. She says, 'I'm dying.' every time she goes to her trailer, she comes back looking younger and younger. Well, that's because she had Mamacita back there. They were doing the fake facelift. You know, you take a stocking cap and put it on your head and you pull up. See that? And you pull and you pull and you pull. And he said every time she comes up to go to the trailer, she come back down, she looked 20 years younger. So when Mr. Warner said that he hated the whole thing, he said, well, I can't take the whole cast back out to the beach again. You know, that costs money. He said, you're going to pay for that? He said, I don't give a goddamn what you do. Reshoot it. You're not going to fuck up this whole movie with that bad scene because she don't look like she died. Reshoot it. He said, you going to pay to take it back on? He said, no, hell no, I'm not going to pay for the reshoot. You are. Now figure it out and reshoot it. I don't want to hear it. He went on out the fucking door. So he said, bring the fucking beach to the stage. So he did. They literally put a sandbox, set them two in that sandbox. And then you can see that in the movie too. But you can see the difference of the close shot and the beach. But the close shot was actually shot on a soundstage. But yeah, they redid the scene. And it was so funny because when they were on the beach, they were saying she looks 20 years younger as well, talking about Bette. And he said it's the acting. It's the acting that she's doing. And what you come to see is that throughout the movie, and you see it in the movie as well, Bette Davis was acting her ass off. And Joan Crawford was just kind of just being Joan and being there. It wasn't her best work, but Bette Davis was doing the damn thing. Bette makes the movie. She really does. She took all the risks, you know, and Joan was just so busy being a bitch and being nasty, you know, that she was failing in the work. Now, her last scene, she did the shit out of that after she overheard what Bobby had said about Bette. But fuck, it was too late then. This is the last scene. This is right before they close up. And then that was it. When the picture wrapped, you see the two of them come out of their little trailers, honey, and one standing here and one standing there. Maybe they didn't say shit to each other, honey. They looked at each other. Bette put on her glasses, honey, and they went two different ways. I said, wow. Wow. After working together all them months, honey. A damn mess. So I am loving this. I am loving this. I hope you all are too. But I am loving this little series. This is something else. All right, so I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, bye.